My stepson said I didn't deserve a seat at his wedding. I transferred the land where their arch stood into my name and sold it. The celebration ended when the lights went out. 16 years and not a single thank you. That's where this begins. Not in a hospital. Not in a courtroom. Just a man, standing in the back of a rented hall, watching a wedding unfold like a performance I paid for but wasn't invited to. My name's Rick. I'm 52. I live in Utah. Spent most of my life doing things the hard way. I don't raise my voice. I don't ask for credit. I just show up. Diana was different, or at least I thought she was. There was a stillness about her when we met, like she'd already lived through her storm and come out the other side. A widow in everything but title. Her ex-husband, Gary, had vanished before their son Trevor turned 5. No forwarding address, no child support, just gone. Like a man trying to outrun gravity. Trevor was 6 when I stepped in. Quiet, pale, already too familiar with absence. He didn't ask for much. I didn't offer promises. I just showed up. Bought him a winter coat. Picked him up from practice. Learned how to braid a fishing line so he wouldn't be the only boy at the lake without a clue. I paid for summer camp. Got him his first bike. Sat through piano recitals with shaking camcorders and fake applause. I paid for everything. Never asked for anything back. Not even love. And still, he called me Dad. First time was in the 1st grade. We were walking to the car after his school's talent show. He took my hand and said, "Thanks, Dad." It knocked the wind out of me. Not because I thought I deserved it, but because I didn't think he had it in him to give. Stuck for a while. Through elementary school. Through birthday parties and scraped knees. Through the awkward middle school years when he didn't want hugs in public. But something started changing around the time he turned 13. He stopped saying Dad. Started calling me Rick again. Slow, casual, like it wasn't a big deal. Diana said nothing. Just smiled tighter and poured more wine. By high school, he was a shadow I paid for. Every backpack, every band trip, every late-night pizza when his friends came over on me. He never lacked for anything. Not food, not shoes, not a damn gaming console. I worked overtime. I sold my truck once just to make sure he didn't miss senior prom. I told myself it was what fathers do. What real men do. They provide. They stay. They wait. Then came college. Out of state. Expensive. But he got in. And I paid. Tuition. Rent. Car insurance. Groceries. I even helped with his first mortgage when he and his girlfriend Alicia decided to move in together. I co-signed the loan. Paid for the down payment. Didn't blink. I thought that would be the turning point. That one day he'd look at me and finally see it. Not the man who married his mother, but the one who built the floor under his life. Then he got engaged. I was happy for him. I really was. Alicia seemed decent. Polite. Said thank you when I picked up the tab. She asked me to help with the wedding planning. Trevor did too. They wanted a big outdoor event. Elegant. Simple but classy. They wanted help with the venue. I said yes. No hesitation. I paid for the land prep, the lighting, the landscaping, the platform and the altar, even the sound crew. Nearly $70,000 by the end of it. Not that I kept track. Not really. I just wanted it to be good. Better than what I had. Better than what his real father would have given. 1 week before the wedding, Trevor asked to meet. We went to a diner we used to frequent when he was a kid. Same cracked vinyl booth. Same sour coffee. He didn't order anything. Just sat across from me. All stiff shoulders and rehearsed calm. "Rick," he said. "We've been talking. Me and Alicia." I waited. "You won't be sitting at the family table. You're just Mom's husband. It doesn't really make sense." I didn't answer. "And honestly," he added, "you don't even have to come." He said it like it was an administrative correction. Like he was revising a guest list for a corporate dinner. Not erasing the man who paid for the lights above his head. I looked at him. Not angry. Just quiet. The kind of quiet that comes after an explosion. When all that's left is dust. I nodded. Then I got up. I paid the bill. And I went home. Opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. pulled out the title to the land. Because what Trevor never knew, what no one ever asked, was this: the venue where they planned to say forever? It wasn't theirs. It was mine. And suddenly, I wasn't just the man not invited to the table. I was the foundation they built it on. And I had a decision to make. What Trevor didn't know, what no one knew, was that the land beneath their perfect wedding dreams already had my name on it. Literally. Deed filed, taxes paid. I bought that stretch of Utah soil years ago with plans to build a small farm. Never did. Life got in the way. But the land stayed mine. All those vendors, the lighting crews, the florists, the rental company that hauled in the stage, the arch, the audio rig, they were setting up on my property. And not one of them had a written lease. Not a single one. It was all handshake agreements because I'd made the payments. Because I showed up. So I made one final call. No threats. No dramatics. Just a quiet conversation with my attorney. I want to transfer the land, I said. Immediately. He asked if I was sure. I said yes. By morning it was done. Sold to a greenhouse operation. A couple from Provo planning to turn the lot into an eco-retreat. They had no interest in weddings. No interest in stage rentals or late-night sound checks. When I handed them the key, I told them the date of the event. They raised eyebrows, then smiled. "We'll let the city handle it," the woman said. "We're just here to grow things." I nodded. Good luck. And that was it. I didn't cancel the wedding. I didn't make a scene. I just removed the ground it stood on. Then I waited. The morning of the wedding was hot. One of those late summer Utah days where the air hums with static and dust. I parked a few 100 feet away from the site, behind a small cluster of trees. Watched from a distance. The arch was already up. White fabric fluttering in the dry wind. Tables set. Folding chairs in tidy rows. Alicia's family moved through the space with clipped energy. Fixing centerpieces. Checking the drink table. No one saw me, but the cracks were already forming. By 4:15, the tech crew refused to plug anything in. They'd asked for proof of lease. Something official for insurance. No one had it. Calls were made. Voicemails left. Trevor, I could see, was already sweating. Jacket off. Tie loose. Running from group to group, pretending it was all under control. Then the power went out. Not a flicker, a full blackout. The soundboard died. The fans stopped turning. The fridges in the catering truck went dark. Turns out, the power company needed updated authorization from the landowner to keep the temporary grid active. And the new landowners hadn't approved anything. By 5 p.m., chaos had taken root. The florist was demanding final payment. The DJ refused to set up. The city inspector arrived, clipboard in hand, responding to a complaint from the new owners. Apparently, there were zoning violations. No permits filed for a public event. No sanitation setup. No licensed vendors. The inspector shut it down. Formally, publicly, guests started leaving. Some confused. Some angry. One of Alicia's uncles cursed loud enough for everyone to hear. I sat in my car, window down, listening. I never smiled. Not once. By 6:30, the field was half empty. The sun had dropped low enough to cast long shadows over the wreckage. People gathered in small, frustrated clusters, whispering accusations. A few of them looked toward the trees, as if sensing something just beyond the edge of their understanding. I turned the key, and I left. The calls started 2 hours later. Diana first. Her voice was sharp with disbelief. "What did you do?" she demanded. I hung up. Then Alicia, crying, apologizing, begging. I let it ring. Trevor left 5 voicemails. The first was angry, swearing, spitting. "You think this proves something?" he said. "You just embarrassed yourself." The second was quieter. Still angry, but confused. "I don't get it. Why now? After everything?" The third and fourth blurred together. Mumbled apologies. A weak attempt at reasoning. The fifth one. That was the one that told me I was right. "Rick," he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't know. I didn't know the land was yours. I didn't think. I didn't mean for it to come off that way. Please, just call me back. Please. I didn't. I went to bed. Slept like stone. By morning, Gary called. Gary, the ghost. The man who hadn't been around for birthdays, graduations, hospital visits. He'd sent a tablet once, refurbished, for Christmas. That was the extent of his fatherhood in 20 years. Did you really pull all this? He asked. Alicia's dad's calling me. Says the wedding's off. Everyone's pissed. I said, you're the real dad, right? You figure it out. Then I hung up. He didn't call back. That night he skipped town. No one's heard from him since. The wedding was never rescheduled. No new date was set. Alicia's parents tried to keep things quiet, but word spread. Family gossip moves fast when it's fueled by $70,000 worth of embarrassment. A week later, Alicia's father called me. I didn't know the full story, he said. We thought you were just the stepdad. But after this, we get it now. You were the only one who ever showed up. I didn't say anything. He continued. Half the guests left before dinner. The food spoiled. DJ never came. Photographer packed up early. You drew a line. People noticed. I hung up without responding. 3 days later, Trevor texted. I get it now. I'm sorry. Can we talk? I deleted the message. Not in anger. In clarity. Because that was the moment it all finally clicked. They needed me when I was useful. When I paid. When I stayed silent. When I asked for nothing and gave everything. But the second I asked for respect, even the smallest gesture like a seat at a table, they reminded me who I really was to them. Placeholder. Credit card. A ghost with a pulse. So I gave them exactly what they said I was. Nothing. The voicemails stopped after the 4th day. Calls turned to texts. Long ones. Then short ones. Then nothing. Silence settled over everything like dust. No more shouting. No more begging. Just the weight of their absence. Diana tried to break it. She showed up unannounced one evening. Same soft knock she used when Trevor was young and had locked himself in the bathroom after a bad grade. I didn't answer. I watched her from behind the curtain as she stood on the porch, arms crossed, eyes scanning the street like maybe someone would show up and mediate. She waited 11 minutes. Then she left. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt finished. There's a difference. You don't win when your family falls apart. You just stop bleeding. 2 days later, I got an email from Trevor. Subject line, I understand now. The body of the email was short, almost too short. I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you, for the way I treated you. I know I messed up. I see it now. I do. I hope you'll talk to me eventually. You didn't deserve any of that. Alicia says I was blind. I think she's right. I didn't reply, not because I was angry, because the sentence that stuck wasn't the apology. It was that last part. I think she's right. He was still borrowing clarity. Still unable to own anything unless someone else handed it to him. That was the pattern. His whole life. My money. My time. My presence. My forgiveness. Always on loan. And I was done lending. The next week I packed a bag. Told my job I was taking a sabbatical. No explanation. Just time off. I loaded up my truck and drove south until the city gave way to nothing. Rented a small cabin near Escalante. No TV. Spotty reception. Just quiet. The first few days were rough. I kept checking my phone. Looking for messages I knew wouldn't come. Old habits, I guess. But by the 5th morning, something shifted. I woke up to silence. Real silence. No passive-aggressive footsteps above my bedroom. No clinking dishes. No voice asking if I could just take care of one more thing. Just me. Coffee. Wind through dry grass. And it hit me. I hadn't felt peace in years. Not real peace. The kind that doesn't demand anything from you. That doesn't keep score. That doesn't use love as leverage. I stayed for 2 weeks. Didn't talk to a soul. Read old books. Walked long trails. Made breakfast slowly. One night I built a fire and threw in a handful of receipts. College tuition. Mortgage deposit. Catering invoice. All of it. Watched it curl and blacken until the paper turned to air. By the time I came home, the house felt like someone else's. Trevor had driven by, apparently, left a note wedged in the doorframe. No envelope, just folded paper. It read, "Please let me fix this. I know it's late, but I want to try." I stood there on the porch, holding that paper, and felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just space. The kind of space where a father used to live. And now I live alone. I moved 2 hours south, bought a smaller place near Panguitch. No room for guests, no backyard for barbecues, just a clean space, paid in full. No one's name on the deed but mine. Diana still reaches out. Every couple weeks. A text here, a forwarded meme there. Like she's testing the depth of the ice. She never apologizes. Not directly. But sometimes she sends messages late at night. The kind you don't send unless you're thinking about what you lost. I don't answer. Not out of spite. But because I finally learned, silence is a kind of answer too. Trevor sent me a photo once. Him and Alicia. Some backyard cookout. Smiles tight, eyes tired. He captioned it, "Hope you're well." I deleted it before it finished downloading. There's a kind of freedom in refusing to be pulled back into a role you never auditioned for. I was never their father, not really. I was the scaffolding. The thing they leaned on while they built their real life. And when the paint dried, they tore me down and said I'd never been part of the structure. But without me, there was no structure. That's the truth they're still choking on. Alicia's father called again, months later. Wanted to say thanks, again. Said his own daughter had started asking questions about who paid for what, about where the money came from. She thought Trevor had handled it, he said, almost laughing. Can you believe that? Yeah, could. He told me they tried to reschedule. New venue, smaller scale. But the buzz was gone. Vendors were hesitant. Family divided. The energy gone. They never got married. Still together. Still pretending. But no vows. No arch. No celebration. The fairy tale ended the day the lights went out. And mine? Mine started the day I realized I didn't need to be chosen to be free. I don't miss them. I miss the idea of what I thought we were. The dream of a family. The hope that showing up was enough. But love without respect is just servitude with better branding. So here's the question I ask myself on the quiet nights. When the wind moves through the canyon like a whisper, was I wrong? Was I wrong to draw a line? Was I wrong to walk away? Was I wrong to leave them in the silence they built with their own words? Because the truth is, I didn't abandon them. I just stopped carrying people who told me I didn't matter. And when you do that, when you step away from the weight, you find out who was really holding whom. So I ask you, whoever's listening, would you have stayed? Would you have endured it? Or would you, like me, have finally stood up and said, "You didn't deserve a seat. And now I don't need the table. I live alone now, in a house too small for guests, too quiet for argument, too distant for surprise visits. I don't hear Trevor's voice in the hallway. I don't hear Diana's sighs from the kitchen. I don't hear anything but the wind and my own footsteps. And that silence? It doesn't hurt. It heals. People ask me if I regret it. Sometimes it's subtle. A raised brow. A gentle, "That must have been hard." Other times it's blunt. "You really walked away from your own family?" But that's the thing. They were never mine. Not in the ways that matter. I was the one who filled the fridge, paid the bills, put gas in the car and light in the house. But I was never the name they whispered when they needed comfort. I was never the photo in the wallet or the story told at parties. I was function, never legacy. So no, I don't regret leaving. I regret thinking I ever had a place to begin with. There's an old photo in a drawer somewhere. Trevor at 13. Alicia beside him. All smiles. The kind people wear when someone says, "Say cheese." Not when they mean it. Diana's behind them, hand on his shoulder. I'm off to the side, 1 foot cropped out. Almost like I wasn't meant to be in the sh*T. That's how it always was. I paid for everything and still stood off frame. The truth is, you can give everything and still be considered nothing. People like to talk about unconditional love. They make it sound noble. But unconditional love, without respect, is just abuse you co-signed. I loved Trevor like a son. I gave him every inch of rope, and he used it to measure the distance he wanted from me. And when he needed something, when the bank account emptied, when the power went out, that's when they remembered I existed. Alicia tried again. A handwritten letter this time, ink smudged, pages soft from being handled too much. She called me Rick, like she was afraid to say more. She said she didn't understand, not back then, that she saw now what I had been, what I had done. She said Trevor was different now, quieter, more thoughtful, that he doesn't talk about the wedding, that he can't bring himself to look at the photos, that he's been going to therapy. I read the letter twice, then I lit a match. Because remorse without transformation is just nostalgia for the comfort they lost. They don't miss me. They miss what I gave them. The cushion, the cover, the man who paid without question. They miss the illusion of family, not the man who kept it standing. I've learned that silence teaches louder than any confrontation ever could. You can scream, you can beg, you can write long letters into the void, but when the door stays shut, people finally listen to the echo of their own cruelty. Diana reached out last month, said she was sorry, said she didn't see it back then, that she thought I was just stronger, that I could take it, that boys are hard, and Trevor didn't mean it, that I should have known. I told her something I'd never said out loud before. You didn't just let them treat me like a stranger. You taught them how. She cried. I didn't. She asked if I could ever forgive her. I said forgiveness isn't something you get just because you ask. It's something you earn when you stop repeating the offense. And that ship had already hit the reef and sunk years ago. She hasn't called since. Sometimes I wonder if Trevor thinks about me, if he remembers the camping trips, the birthday cakes I stayed up late to bake from scratch, the time I waited in the rain outside a theme park because he and his friends wanted just one more ride, and I didn't want to ruin the day by saying no. But then I remember memory isn't always affection. Sometimes it's just inventory. I was a fixture, a utility, something useful, until I wasn't. And when I stopped being useful, they called it betrayal when I left. That's the part they never say out loud. They want your love but not your boundaries. Your labor but not your identity. Your money but not your voice. The moment you stop being a silent provider, you become the villain. And I was done playing the villain in a story I wrote the checks for. People talk about family like it's sacred, like blood makes you whole. But I've seen blood do worse than strangers ever could. Blood abandoned Trevor. It vanished when he needed it most. And I filled the gap. I did the work. I stayed, carried him. And still, when it came time to define who mattered, he chose the man who never showed up. So no, I don't miss birthdays. I don't miss Christmas mornings filled with tense smiles and last-minute gifts. I don't miss Father's Day cards with my name misspelled or skipped altogether. I don't miss the dinners where Diana had to translate every sentence because Trevor couldn't look me in the eye. I miss being believed in, but even that was an illusion, and I'm done grieving what never existed. So now I wake up to sunlight through real windows, not filtered through curtains of obligation. I make my own coffee. I read in silence. I spend money only on myself. I don't explain my choices. I don't check my phone for apologies that'll never come. I live. And I've learned the cost of being just the stepdad. You pay for everything. You stay through everything. You absorb every insult with a smile because you're supposed to be grateful to be allowed inside their world at all. Until the day they remind you, you're not family, just mom's husband, just a placeholder, just someone who should know his place when it's time to set the table. And when you finally walk away, they act surprised. Like the foundation they stood on was supposed to be permanent. But here's the truth. When a man gives everything and is still treated like nothing, what do you think happens? He stops giving. Not out of spite, out of self-respect. And when the house collapses, he doesn't rebuild it. He lets it rot. Because sometimes you don't salvage what's broken. Sometimes you walk away so the ones who took you for granted finally learn what you were worth. So tell me honestly, was I wrong? Was I wrong to leave? Was I wrong to sell the land? Was I wrong to disappear when they told me I didn't belong? Or did I finally, do the one thing every man in my position dreams of, but rarely has the courage to do? Stop paying and start living.